One of the things that I find is incredible is they had to admit the supply chain problem, obviously the semiconductors. But of all the companies other than Qualcomm that you had to worry about semis, this is the one I worry the least about because they do multiple source like Qualcomm. And I know that they had to call it out just because everybody's calling out, but I think they'll be fine. I'm not saying it's by rote, but I also am saying that I am less worried about Apple, let's say, than I am Ford, where I had last night. And Ford is just decimated by this. I don't want to switch gears out of tech.
This is a tough one, Jim.
Yeah. Ford's
a tough one. The quarter itself is a handy beat. The lost about 17% of planned production, but it does sound, Jim, like Farley told you, it's going to be more like 50 this quarter.
Yeah, I'm going to put this under the bad column, and I happen to like Farley very much, but I think the company could have earned, maybe $1 a share, and they could be back to the fabled $5 that I was looking for 10 years ago that got the stock to 18. Now I don't know if they can do that. They need it turns out the Japanese chip fire was far worse. Now, one of the things that's happening is we have these disasters, Carl, and you think that they can just flick a switch and go back online. If you read my old friend T.J. Rogers this morning in an op-ed piece in the Wall Street Journal, you can see that this is just pure trouble, that we just don't have the horses to make this, to have anything change, certainly not the government. So, I wanted to love the Ford call because there's Farley saying, I was kind of doing a lightning round. The Broncos sold out. F-150 sold out. Everything's sold out. The Mach 5E is sold out. And the narrative would have been, if it weren't for the chip fire, look out, Elon Musk, I've got the EV. But instead it was like, well, I don't know. I thought, geez, I'm not going to be able to make as many cars and trucks. And I think it's a shame. But if it is a bottom quarter, Carl, if Farley is right, then this company has to be bought right here, right now. Because you're not going to be able to get it if they do indeed get the chips they need. I just don't know if they're going to get the chips. I don't know if they're going to get them.
So do you think in 6 or 8 months we'll be talking about the automakers the way we're talking about Cat today, where the dealers are trying to fill the lots that have been historically empty for several quarters?
Yes. When you're talking about 4 and 5 day supply, he's got things that as soon as they go to the dealer, they are sold. That's the shame about the chips, because he does have the right lineup. And the F-150, the electric F-150, now this is something that I think is going to astonish people. I think people very much want something like that, the small, medium-sized businesses. So I'm very bullish on Ford. And I see the stock coming down, and I understand that. But if you didn't like Farley last night, then you didn't understand. This is a person who is earnest. We are overlooking. There used to be losses all over the world. You used to get in and say, oh, geez, if it weren't for Latin America, oh, if it weren't for Europe. No. Farley, underneath this chip shortage, Farley has cured the major problem of Ford, which is they've decided to no longer lose money in areas because they feel like they have to be anywhere. That's not Farley's style. I like the quarter X the asterisk, but then you can say, like, I liked the play X the assassination, Mrs. Lincoln. American cousin. How was it?
It's actually worth a listen, Jim, what Farley told you about the production cuts, the shortage, and the ongoing investment in EV, even in the face of all of that. Take a listen.
We think this quarter is going to be our most difficult. We actually think the chip shortage will extend in the second half. We may lose about the same as what we did in the first quarter, but then as we come into the last part of the year, we're really moving.
Jimmy talks about offsetting those production cuts with pricing and price control.
Look, I think he's going to be able to do it in the second half. I think, by the way, he is gunning for Elon Musk. Now, not like the regulators who obviously failed. Fantastic article today in the Journal. I am talking about he's coming for Musk with both barrels. And he thinks he's got the lineup. He said that the Mustang, you don't need any advertising for the Mustang. It is exactly like the Tesla, maybe better. Carl, this is going to be the rivalry that you've been looking for. And Farley is every bit as funny as another Farley.
I was going to say, Jim, what's more effective, having a big ad campaign or word of mouth or hosting SNL, right? Because that's where we are in the car business.
Well, I think Jim Farley could host SNL and be a lot funnier. Remember, you can't do song and dance if you didn't blow out the quarter. I'm still watching Tesla. That stock is stuck. If it weren't for the chip shortage, then we would have another Farley on SNL.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.